started on my pot. I've put soil at the bottom. So various bulbs have different needs for depth and depth below and depth above. Tulips need to be buried by about 6 inches of soil, as do daffodils. A minimum amount of depth underneath is about 3 inches. So you can see that your pot for a bigger bulb that needs to be planted deeper can't be as shallow as, say, that, because there wouldn't be enough soil on top and then they would begin to flop. Julie's going to say something else. I know what.
I can say something or I can start. Well, I'll start my next one, and then we can move on over to Susan. This is, since we were on the subject of gifts, if you want to give, if you like doing this, and you find that you just can't stop, but there's a fella or a chef on your list, you can plant garlic. And garlic is so easy, it's just like a bulb, but what you want isn't what's on top, you want what's underneath. And if you plant this garlic now, it'll be ready in like 3 or 4 months. So that's the spring. So we sell the garlic, and it's not grocery store garlic, because that's been treated with a chemical to keep it from sprouting, because they wouldn't be able to sell it if it's sprouting. So theirs is like, oh, I don't know, like a non-virgin or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they use, but
yeah,
something.
But this will sprout, of course, and we sell it, and you don't just plant the whole bulb, you take it apart like you were going to cook with it. So you take them all apart, and then, I'll show you. You can use whatever configuration you want, and you can put whatever you want on the top. But in keeping with the theme of food, I'm going to put lettuce on top, because lettuce is almost an instant crop. It's really easy. So I'm going to put these guys in the middle, in a circle, pointy side up. So I pull them off of the big globe, and I separate each little kernel clove. And you can kind of tell there's a little rough side, and that goes down, and there's a pointy side that goes up. And for each one of these, you'll get a whole globe. So it seems kind of crazy to plant garlic to get garlic, but it gets bigger. So I'm going to put this all in the middle, give it room to kind of grow. There's one there. And it's pretty easy. It's just in a circle. They're small. And it's all in a circle and in the middle. So that gives me enough room to plant one plant in the middle too.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to continue on with mine. I'm doing the cabbage. I pulled the stick out. The cabbage goes there, more or less across from the poppy. The poppy. Gosh, brain. And then the 2 pansies, one on either side. And I'm leaving really, there's plenty of room for these bulbs to come up. Sometimes, as spring comes along, maybe the cabbage you'll need to clip out a few leaves if it happens to get enormous. Sometimes one of the pansies gets a little tatty and you'll just pull it out. But that'll be April. And at that point, your tulips will be coming up and you won't miss it. So they're slightly overplanted with this method, but you have a little margin for error. If something doesn't quite pan out, or it's just tired after all the rains, just pull it out. If you put enough different things, some of them will look fabulous, and then you'll have your bulbs coming through, and you'll be in good shape. So I've chosen a great big pot to show you, because not only can you do one kind of bulb, you can do more than one at different heights, or different depths, actually is more accurate. So I'm going to do a 2-layered pot. I'm going to put my bigger bulbs that need to be buried by 6 or 7 inches of soil at one level. I'm going to add some soil and put a more shallow layer. So what I chose was some mammoth tulips, which are these great big tulip bulbs. And I'm using these flowers, so I thought, well, I need to have orange tulips and purple tulips. So I picked those out from inside, and they're great big bulbs. And I'm going to put them lowest, and more or less in the center. And we talked about the chrysanthemum, and here's something else that is something of a temporary plant. This is a salvia. They say it's a perennial, but that's not true. This one isn't perennial. So I'm going to center it, and I'm going to have all my tulips right underneath it, and that's okay. When this one's finished, I'm going to enjoy it for another 2-3 months. When it's finished, I'll just put a little soil. When I take it out, put a little soil, and all the tulips are going to come up right here in the center where this used to be. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 tulips. They're going to go right here in the center. I'm going to put them right against each other. They're going to be planted just like this. They can touch each other. It's okay because the roots will go down and the plants will go up. The bulb doesn't really expand much, so they can be right close together. And then they I've got my tulips in here, and I'm going to add about 3 inches of soil because I'm going to put miniature daffodils in. And they are shorter, and so they need, and smaller bulbs. They need less soil below them. So I'm going to do another layer. And this is the miniature daffodil. It's called tete-a-tete, or tete-a-tete. And it's very cute. It's got like 3 little bulbs, or rather, 3 little flowers on each stem. So it's like this little cluster, bouquet sort of thing, as it grows and blooms. And they're fragrant. Some of the narcissus are sweetly fragrant. Some are more pungent, like the paper whites. Pungent. And then I'm going to count. So this fellow's going to go in the middle. Oops, I already know that. And I've got 5 plants that I'm going to put here. So I'm going to position them all, and then I'm going to plant these tulips about the exact same depth as these. So I'm going to put the daffodil bulb right about 3 inches deep. So here I am, and I've got my flowers done, and I'm going to put the daffodils in, and I can set them on the top of the soil, so I kind of position them between the flowers. And since these are smaller and don't need to be as deep, I can just use a small skinny trowel, make a small hole. So what we've got then is all the flowers. There's tulips below in the center, and then I put all of these small daffodils that I'm going to plant in between the plants, and I'm going to dig a little small hole and tuck them in. So they're going to go all between. So you plant, and it's nice and full, but you still have spots that are empty soil that you can put your bulb. Used to not be processed as much, so it used to have more nutrients, and now it's milder. It doesn't have any nitrogen, and I think it only has the phosphorus. So the bulb food has other sources of nutrients. It's still organic. It still has bone meal in it, but it has like blood meal and other things. I can't even tell you exactly which ones, but it's a little more complete. At this point, once we've got these planted, we'll water them in, and we'll continue to water them as if there were no bulbs in it. So just like a flower pot, every 3 days. Once the winter rains start, they pretty much take care of themselves within reason. I mean, yes, it rained 3 days ago, but obviously now it's not going to rain for a few more days, and now you have to come back to water. But you would more or less water it as if